what you realize when you're a genius is that great product never beats great go-to-market, right? But then there's this other one with pro. Well, great go-to-market never beats great network effects. And for a network effect to be true, it actually needs to be based on some here's the answer, an undeniable shift in human behavior. So like if you want 33% of your revenue to come from partners, it's very simple. That means that 1/3 of your account list, you should identify as, hey, these are the highest likely accounts to work with partners. And then that means that 1/3 of your sales activity should be Nearbound sales plays. So what are those plays? Well, I call them the 3 I's of Nearbound sales: intel, influence, and intros.
Okay, very excited to have on the show Jared Fuller today. He's the co-founder and CEO of Nearbound.com, which is a media company covering the news, stories, and tactics of the Nearbound era. And we're going to talk about what Nearbound is in just a moment. Prior to that, Jared led global partnerships at Drift, where he created and scaled Drift's ecosystem through partnerships. For example, he built Drift's Adobe Alliance from zero to Adobe Partner of the Year. He created the Conversational Marketing Blueprint, which is the methodology that certifies thousands of marketers on conversational marketing. And he created today what's known as conversational ABM. And not just that, he was also the VP of Sales and Business Development at PandaDoc, where he joined the company when the office was just an apartment in San Francisco. And then he eventually helped grow the org to hundreds of employees and 10,000 paying customers. Today, we're going to be focusing on Nearbound. What is it and why you should care? Jared, thank you for joining us today.
Happy to be here. Let's dive in.
Let's do it. Let's go through a quick 1-minute background on yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So, partnerships have always just been my secret weapon, but I'm not like a partnerships person. I started my career as a founder. Like I owned my own marketing agency. I was co-founder and CEO of Job Hive, which was backed by Foundry Group. So in the HR tech space. From a very young age, I tried founding a bunch of companies. So my resume is, a graveyard of dead startups. But then there's also some really massive wins. So I've, helped create 2 unicorns, PandaDoc and Drift, leading sales and partnerships at PandaDoc, and then building the global partner programs at Drift. And then I got this curiosity around partnerships as always being my secret weapon, going, wait a second, who else has done this stuff before? And I come to find out it's every single industry defining and leading company has had partnerships as the core part. We're not talking, 10% of revenue. We're talking well over 50% of revenue to the world's largest company, Microsoft, 95% partner attach, right? I was like, where is the knowledge? Where's this information? And decided to found Partner Hacker, just like Sales Hacker, right, for partnerships. And we were acquired by Reveal last year. And I rebranded everything to Nearbound.com. Released Nearbound the book 2 months ago, which was a bestseller in every category. In all of business, it was only number 2 to Elon Musk's biography. So I was pretty proud of that.
I can't believe it. How could you lose to Elon?
I know, right? Everybody does.
Let's dive right into it. So can you tell the audience a little bit about what is Nearbound? How does this whole thing work?
Yeah. So, one of the things that folks often don't pay attention to in startup land, but it's probably one of the only defensible moats is, it's called network effects. And language is a network effect. Like your own lexicon really matters. When people are using your words, that makes a difference. And partnerships, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to a CRO? What does it mean to a CMO? What does it mean to a CCO, to a CPO? All different things, right? And what I needed to orient folks around is that this basic tenet, that partnerships should not be a department. It should be a strategy for every department. And what does that mean? Well, there are some other words and nomenclature that previously existed. So let's say the era of outbound, right? That's outbound equals target. Inbound equals attract. So what is nearbound? Nearbound equals surround. It's about working with the buyers, working with the folks that your buyers already trust. So their vendors, their partners, their people. And whether that's across marketing, sales, success, or product, it's merely recognizing that, trust comes from helping people reach their promised land, but we only trust the people who've been to the places we want to go. So Nearbound is about how do you market with the people your buyers already trust. Nearbound is about how do you sell with them, etc.
Got it. So who are the players in, you said, like maybe customers, integration partners, who are all the people involved here?
Yeah. So and that's why it's more than just partnerships, right? So like Nearbound includes anyone that your buyer trusts. So that could be an influencer. It could be an advisor. It could be an investor. It could be a partner, a customer, right? Like one of the most effective channels for pretty much every single company is what? It's your customer referral program. Like those are always your best leads, right? They have the highest ASP. They have the fastest time to close. They have the highest win rate. Like that is your best. And it would be silly to not work with them. And oftentimes you'll see these separate initiatives like an affiliate program and then a customer marketing program and then a partnerships department and then a channel thing. Like it needs to be unified as one strategy that can be put into the go-to-market engine. So that way marketing is using it, sales is using it, success is using it, not these siloed, disparate efforts.
We're going to talk a little bit about exactly how you implement that and what that looks like. Coming back into, I guess, the bigger picture of this whole thing, I really admire one of Reveal's manifestos. I think I read it recently. And one of the ideas is that we're moving away from the how economy about what your product does and how it works, because everyone can build anything with AI these days. And of course, offshore hiring of engineers, into the who economy, which is about influence. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So in 2006, a British mathematician named Clive Humby coined the phrase, data is the new oil. And he was right. Data was the new oil until we polluted all trust in data as a buyer. That doesn't mean as a business we don't use it. What I mean is how we used to buy things was that, like, I don't know, let's say I'm purchasing a sales forecasting software, right? Like in B2B, I might be like, how to, fix X or Y in my forecast. And I might Google that. There is no way today, and you don't do it. And the folks listening, you don't do this either. You don't Google problems and then read vendor, SEO driven listicle content and then be like, oh, I need to buy their software. What do? The very first thing you do is you go find someone who's done the thing that you're trying to do, right? So I might go to Modern Sales Pros and be like, hey, I'm looking into fixing this problem with sales forecasting. I see some threads. I see my buddy Taft, who I trust, right? He's done the thing. He's like a sales ops professional that I trust. And he says, hey, buy Clary. So I buy Clary and that might be 50 grand. And that's how it works, right? Is that I have someone that I trust who's making a recommendation, because whenever I go look at all the reviews, guess what, Alan? All of the reviews, they all say 4.7 stars. I call it 4.7 star syndrome, right? All of the software companies' content, it's all good. It's not bad. The information asymmetry is out there. It's just noise. Where is the signal? The signal is in the people that has done the thing you're trying to do that you trust, your network. And that's how we buy. And we trust brands that deliver that same type of experience. I'll give you a B2C example that's a perfect analogy of this. I've been a Marriott customer my entire business travel life, right? I always stay at Marriott's, but I own a Tesla now. Tesla made me switch to Hilton. Why? Well, whenever I'm traveling and I'm driving my Tesla, Hilton partnered with Tesla to put superchargers in every single one of the Hilton hotels. And I just happened to be staying at a Hilton for a wedding one time. And the valet's like, oh, I'll charge your car for you. And I was like, what? That's amazing. And then now I'm like, that's just such a great benefit. That's my point. I trust Tesla. Marriott, it's like, oh shoot, I got to figure out how the heck I'm going to charge the car. It's a pain in the butt. That changed my behavior based on a trusted relationship, right? Like that fundamentally changed how I operate as a consumer. And, the who economy is that same exact concept. It's the brand, it's the people that you already trust, is how we make purchasing and buying decisions.
And then for smaller startups out there or players who are entering the space, they want to align themselves with as many brands that people trust as possible. Seems to be one of the nice strategies out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very simple. Like, for an early stage startup, I'll make this very simple. Like, how do I, what partners do I go after, or what relationships do I go after? And how do I go about finding these people? It's very simple. This is not some hypothetical list of attributes and, ICP or like an ideal partner profile. Here's what it is. It's a list. Who are your best customers? Talk to them, interview them, ask them about the vendors that are tangential that they use and trust. Ask them about the agencies or the consultancies or any, service provider that they pay, and go through your top 10, top 20. What you'll find is there's some very important relationships that really control the mind share of your buyer. It would be very silly of you to not have a relationship with the person that they already trust, right? because they have more. So when you do your next event or your next campaign or whatever it is, it might behoove you to partner and work with that company, right? That entity, those people, right? Those watering holes of influence.
It's amazing. And I'd love to get your points on this in just a moment, exactly how you execute this type of program. Coming back into your experience at Drift, can you talk through a little bit about how you set up the partner ecosystem? Well, who needed to be involved? What were the tools and processes? What was the rollout phase? And what was involved in each step?
I think I'll answer this a little bit differently. This is one of my strong opinions. Before you build an ecosystem, you need to be able to win in an ecosystem. So there's a book that's really difficult. It's called Playing to Win. And Playing to Win is about strategy. Strategy is probably the most misunderstood word in startups. Strategy is merely choice, right? I am making a choice, and not all choices are equal. Your choices are actually very important whenever you're pursuing, let's say, a strategic alliance, a partnership. What ecosystem are we going to win in? So there's this series of cascading choices. What is my winning aspiration? Where will we play? How will we win? And what capabilities must be in place in order for that to be true? And all of a sudden you go, oh, I have to answer these questions? I can't just partner with people? Where's the promised land? How are we going to get there? What needs to be in place? And then you have to make a choice on which ecosystem you need to win in. And that may not be the top dog. It may be someone in between. And I wrote a really awesome piece on this. It's called Partner Up and Play to Win. So I kind of bring these two strategies together and how I talk through going from zero to Adobe's Partner of the Year, right? How I went from, no commercial relationship with Marketo whatsoever and turning that into a $6 million partnership. And we were nobody. I mean, we were 120 person startup. And we started signing 7-figure, opportunities with the chosen partner is kind of my point. So whenever you start to get that, Andrew Chen talks about this in a great book called The Cold Start Problem, right? You need network effects. So if you don't have groundswell in an existing ecosystem, how do you have anything other than just more outbound? Hey, do you want to partner with me? Hey, do you want to partner with me? You need to recognize that network effects are one of the only defensible mechanisms left in business. So, the goal was let's get into as many Marketo accounts as possible, right? So then that became a cross-departmental effort, right? So we're doing stuff with the Drift marketing and brand, focusing all in on Marketo, right? Joint campaigns, events, highlighting customer success stories, getting partners where we could, like Marketo's partners. In the beginning, it's hard, but you just keep on stacking. And over time, we got to a place where I was able to sit down with every single CSM that was in North America at their 3 different offices face to face and be like, hey, here's exactly how we helped your other CSM close an $80,000 upsell because plugging Drift into Marketo adds new contacts to the database. You're paid on net dollar retention. I'm your best partner to help you make more money and make your customers more successful and hit Steve Lucas's, your CEO's #1 goals. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sit down in front of Salesforce. We're going to pull up your account list and we're going to make intros to all of them. That actually happened. I sat down at every single CSM desk and we're nobody, it's not like I'm like Microsoft coming around and doing this. We're 100 and some odd person startup. And that was inside of the first year. So, I'd say the best piece is that Partner Up and Play to Win, where I detail that formula out. It's probably a 25, 30-minute read. So we could just spend that entire time, talking about that one thing. And then once you have that groundswell, then we had ROI DNA, like a top Marketo partner, Lead MD, a top Marketo partner. We had other integrations that came from that. You start to build an ecosystem because you're winning inside of an ecosystem.
That's a really great point about you have to have the groundswell before you can actually create the operations. Is there anything you can talk about for maybe Series A startups or Series B startups about how to create that groundswell in today's environment?
I think the place to start, where the lowest hanging fruit is probably not on the sales side. And I think that's unfortunately where most startups start. Obviously you have to drive revenue. And I just talked about how we drove $6 million in sales for a, Series B company, in less than 12 to 18 months, right? You can drive a lot of money from doing this, but we started with marketing. And I think the reason why that's so important is, and I'll give you a couple tactics. let's say events. People really crave unique, fun, like differentiated experiences that you can bring people together for a common vision of like a future. And for us, what we did in the beginning, let's say Drift and Gong. Drift and Gong to this day still don't have an integration, right? But we did lots of co-marketing together. Like that goes against the traditional partner playbook. But we had a thesis of a world where conversations mattered. They mattered for salespeople. They mattered for marketing people. And that mattered a lot for, 6 Sense and Demandbase and like a lot of this other, rev tech stack. We were just out there evangelizing with the people that our audience already trusted to get into new watering holes and to create things. So we'd have like the Hypergrowth Conference or, Rev Growth and these other virtual experiences where we're able to market outside of our own database. Right. So I think my get really good at working with partners to create experiences and content and copy and movements, like create a movement, that makes people want to market with you and then also make it incredibly easy. And I often refer to myself, Alan, as the influencer of influencers. Like I will go get people that have way bigger reach than me to talk about the thing that I'm talking about. Like I have relatively no following on LinkedIn compared to Jill Rowley, 275,000 followers or whatever she has. Jill's the goat of social selling. She invented it basically. Right. But I would get her to evangelize it because I made it easy. She loved it. Like I would write content specifically for her or for, Scott Leese or for whoever it was. I was really focusing on being like the best possible partner to do marketing together. And that's where you're reaching outside of your own database. Like the really silly thing about marketing solo today is that like, well, you already have the database. Those are already your contacts. How are you going to grow? It's either ads or you're renting space from Google. It's a faucet. But whenever you go into the market and you market with the people and they love doing that with you, you're marketing into inherently not your database. So I think marketing is where that comes in, and is Nearbound marketing is probably my favorite like section of the book. Nearbound right now is there's so much to take away from that, and also operating like a media company. Like like the reason why I started Partner Hacker as a media company, Alan, is that I used to tell people, when my content is the product, you'll never beat me. Right? So like treat your content like the product. And especially in partnerships, right? Make people be like, wow, I love working with this company. People loved working with us at Drift because our content was the product. We treated ourselves like a media company. Like these were experiences that were so good that like we charged for it. Like I sold Marketo, $50,000 sponsorships to like be a part of the experiences that we created, and they would market it. Like I sold that stuff to 6 Sense, Latin Canant, and we paid for some of their stuff here and there. But like the point is that when we showed up, people wanted to market with us.
So this is what you mean by in order to get someone like Scott Leese, like Jill, you have to create good content for yourself. You have to create what did you mean by create good content for them?
What I spend probably half my time doing is writing stuff for other people. Like we can get really tactical here for a second. Like, okay, let's say you use a tool like Reveal or Crossbeam, like you're sharing data with a partner and you're like, hey, here's some customers that they have that like, I have some inbound interest, but I don't have an opportunity with. Great opportunity to reach out and like work with that partner. Fantastic. Like they haven't responded to my follow-up emails, so I want to get an intro, right? Simple enough. You and everybody else, right? Warm intro sounds fantastic. I love those. Everyone loves those. So what do most people do? What most people do is they send a LinkedIn DM. Hey, Alan, I see, this person is a customer of yours. And blah, blah, blah. Would you mind making me an intro? That is so junior varsity. It's embarrassing. Like you should be ashamed. Why? This person doesn't know you. They don't trust you. You're asking them to risk their social capital and do work, like mental gymnastics. Okay, make an intro. Why? What's the context behind this? Like, I have to go like work for you now, and I don't even understand why. Conversely, what you can do is go, hey, I saw that this account signed up for such and such about 3 months ago. They've come and downloaded this ebook and they went to this webinar or whatever. Here's my value hypothesis. I'm looking to get connected with this person for this reason. If I write an intro based on this, would you mind forwarding it over or letting me know? Right? Like, and then PS, here's my first draft. Hey, yeah, sure, no problem. And same thing on the marketing side. Like, hey, I have this crazy vision of like something we're going to do in 3 months. And here's exactly how you fit into it. And I'm going to take care of the social promo. I'm going to take care of the emails. I'm going to take care of all of this. But based on you said X and Y, I love that. Here's exactly how you fit into this picture and why you have to be a part of this, campaign. And then people are like, oh, that's amazing. Like, you solved all the mental gymnastics for me. All that I have to do is like hit send, right? Whether that's on LinkedIn or showing up to an event, it's like, hey, here's the 3 bullet points and we're just going to geek out on it. And like, yeah, I do love that topic. Like I often say, Alan, folks spend too much time on being ivory tower intellectuals. They focus on their operating model and they want to spreadsheet or math their vision of the world into existence, right? So you're really focused on internal metrics and optimization and activity engagements, whatever those KPIs are. And guess who doesn't care about any of that? The market. The market doesn't care about your operating model. The map, your map is not the territory. No matter how detailed you make a map, how much does it reflect nature, a mountain range? It's very, very little. You might be able to directionally navigate, but you're losing so much context, texture, and fabric. So when you live in market and you actually build these things in market, your marketing organization where you're marketing with these people all the time, you can do something like this. In less than 90 days, I got 100 speakers for the first ever Nearbound Summit. I got over 100 speakers. I got over 5,000 people, all just excited about the world of like Nearbound. They're like, yes, this is it. But it wasn't me. The people that were promoting it were other people, right? The people that were attending, all of the vibe, the energy was in the market. So I often say like your job, if you're in partnerships, is to create a movement, right? The people, what do people actually believe in? And if you don't work at a company where there's like some type of movement, you got to help find that ethos, that core, that passion that's like, hey, I'm going to go recruit people because they want to be a part of this. And then I make people famous. Make people famous. Make them feel great. Make them feel like awesome for helping you, right? That's like the Jedi mind trick. Make people feel like, man, I love helping Jared. I love helping Alan. They're amazing. That's what Jill told me. Jill Rowley, she said, I love helping you.
Give 5X, ask for 1 in return. And I bet people will feel that way.
I mean, you could be the most helpful person in the room.
I had a couple questions about some other stuff, but I kind of want to focus on this topic a little bit. So marketing's job is to create the movement. In today's context, how would you go about that?
This is a lesson I learned from David Cancel, the CEO of Drift, really, really well. And I'll never forget it. It's fundamental to my thesis as an entrepreneur now. And I've always thought this way. I just hadn't put it into the same words. I'm like, yes, this is true. There's something I call, the difference between being a builder, a genius, and a pro. So a builder is someone that's like, I have a hammer. Where's the nails? Right? I have this product idea. I have this thing like just looking for nails everywhere. And that's probably 90% of entrepreneurs, if I'm honest, 80% at least, where it's about them. It's about them. And, that's not to say you can't succeed that way. Broken clock is right twice a day. You can. It's just very hard. Then there's the geniuses that create a 10x technological innovation that, really does move capabilities forward in some way. This is Peter Thiel's kind of like 0 to 1 thesis, right? Those are very strange, weird people to me. I'm not one of them, right? Like you really do need some breakthrough tech. And even then it's hard because what you realize when you're a genius is that great product never beats great go-to-market, right? But then there's this other one with pro. Well, great go-to-market never beats great network effects. And for a network effect to be true, it actually needs to be based on here's the answer, an undeniable shift in human behavior. What was true about the old world that is no longer true about the new world? And I think Andy Raskin in his strategic narrative framework does a great job of making very clear on how you market and create movements behind what I'm saying. Andy wrote prolifically about Drift's narrative in our marketing and Gong's narrative in their marketing, some luminary companies that had fantastic marketing. What's the undeniable shift in the world? If you are not tied to an undeniable shift of the world and clearly can paint a world where winners win by being a part of your movement and losers lose because they're not, you're just talking about features. Nobody cares about features. People want to know that they're not going to get left behind because the rate of change and that pace is accelerating. And it's only getting harder to win. It's not getting easier. What's the undeniable shift in the world? Like, what is that vision that you have to manifest into existence that you can be truly passionate about? Jocko Vanderkoij from Winning by Design, another great voice. His advice, I had him on the Nearbound podcast, was really good. He's like, look, you need to focus on something that you have, almost an earned secret about. That's like some Paul Graham YC advice. So if you grew up on a farm, for example, and you're like, hey, I love farmers, then you should probably sell into farmers or market to farmers. Just as an example, what is something that you understand what's happening in the market more than other people? Then you need to pull people towards that future.
I love that.
Because AI is going to eat everything else.
Someone said this, I can't remember exactly who it was, but it's really smart people can do things that no one else can do, but geniuses can see things that no one else can see. I think this is part of it. It's if you can see it, then you can act on it. You can see a truth that no one else can see. Your competition, your customers, your business. This is the future. This is the movement. And that's the true genius of how to win in the business. That's what makes you a player in the game. So marketing focuses on movement. And like you said, you need to find the movement, what that is, and then basically put that message out there to as many people as possible. Now, what does sales do?
Well, I think sales, there's a great thing I created called the Nearbound Sales Blueprint. It's in the book, but then it's also available online for free. You need to run Nearbound sales plays. So if you want 33% of your revenue to come from partners, it's very simple. That means that 1/3 of your account list, you should identify as, hey, these are the highest likely accounts to work with partners. And then that means that 1/3 of your sales activities should be Nearbound sales plays. So what are those plays? Well, I call them the 3 I's of Nearbound sales: intel, influence, and intros. And they're in that order on purpose because intro is the hardest one. Intel, though, is hey, this company just bought from this other partner of mine, similar buyer. Oh, this role was who was involved. Okay, great. How else would you reach out to that account? Outbound, look at their LinkedIn. Hey, I saw you went to UNC, go Tar Heels. Who cares? That's dumb. Junior varsity stuff. I have to imagine if they bought in 2024, in the last 3-6 months, whatever, there was probably a business challenge and a business initiative. And guess what? People don't post on their website or on their LinkedIn, their business challenges and their business initiatives. That's what you actually sell to. So go to that partner and get the answers to the test. Why show up and play the game on hard mode and try to get someone to take a call with you for you to learn about their problems? Go do the work yourself, right? Get the intel. And then that's how you can generate influence and to get the partner to go, oh, here's my value hypothesis. Could you put this in your next meeting deck with this, account? Okay, great. Generate some influence and then eventually have the right to, earn an intro. So, in short, I think the Nearbound sales plays intel, influence, intro. And the Nearbound sales blueprint is by far the most effective way to do it. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, get really good at writing emails for other people.
Do the work for them. Make it easy for them. No more mental gymnastics.
Absolutely.
Customer success. What do they do?
I think the easiest one in customer success, especially if you have integrations, is to make sure that any time that you have integrations that are available. So using a Crossbeam or Reveal, it's hey, we have, let's say 50 integrations, right? Available. This customer that just bought is a customer of 4 of our integration partners. Now, during your onboarding process, should you or should you not probably try to get those integrations connected? Yes. Just get the data. It's very simple. And what you'll find is no matter how many times I say this, folks really have a hard time being oh, okay. So then the CSM needs visibility and they need to make sure that this integration gets connected because inevitably their best cohort of revenue are their most integrated customers. I've yet to see a company where it's oh, the number of integrations go up and our net retention goes down. Show me that company. BS. It goes up every time. It's one of those single lowest common denominators. And yet that's not part of it. Even with Marketo, we sold into 1,000 Marketo accounts. And then I learned, I'm oh my gosh, we only have 250, integrated. What the heck? That became an initiative. And guess what happened to net retention? Whoop. Right? Very simple. So
Partnerships. What does partnership org do?
I think the partnership org is the orchestrator across every department: marketing, sales, success. So stop trying to build a monolithic partner team and, go help the rest of the company build and live in market. Help the marketing team market with, help the sales team sell with, help the success team serve with.
Is there something the partnership person should be focused on, like a key KPI? How many integration partners in our ecosystem? Or is it just about helping the other orgs?
Help the other companies hit their metrics by utilizing and working with partners, right? Like, it's not about some internal metric. I think the number one metric to pay attention to is partner attach rate. Partner attach rate to marketing campaigns, to sales accounts, to pipeline, to close one revenue, and then measure that cohort performance. It's very simple. Does partner attach result in better pipeline generation? Does it result in better pipeline conversion? Does it result in healthier customers? And it's a binary yes or no. It's a very simple metric to measure. And what you'll find is that, it tends to result in better performance. So, why ignore it?
Last question. What tools do you recommend for people who want to build a partnership ecosystem?
I think you need to start with a Reveal, a Nearbound revenue platform that's data up, so you can share all this data with your partners that you can use to orchestrate against your marketing team, against your sales team, against your success team. I'm very biased in that statement. Obviously, Nearbound's a part of Reveal. However, I will say that this is how I activated all the partnerships at Drift, was using a platform just like this. You do need to do that. I don't think a PRM is where you start. I don't think an affiliate thing or a link tracking thing. Share CRM data, because you have to do the account mapping, targeting accounts, figure it out. So reveal.co.
People, check it out. Reveal.co. We use it here at Warmly. It's a fantastic tool. Jared, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. How can people find out more about you?
Go to nearbound.com, subscribe, or hit me up, Jared Fuller, on LinkedIn. I post partnerships content pretty frequently. And nearbound.com has podcasts, newsletters, events, all free. We're the biggest media company in the partnerships landscape.
Please check it out. Thanks so much, Jared.
All right, cheers.